Just a quick little introduction before I get on to the story. Um, I write stories all the time, or at least I come up with ideas for them. My lazy ass usually doesn't write it down, but I figured I'd start narrating them, and hopefully that can motivate me to actually put more ideas to paper. Uh, I'd say I'm a okay writer, still learning a lot. I've got three creepypastas narrated on here that I'll probably narrate myself sometime. Uh, but I haven't really narrated before, so kind of bear with me. And hopefully I can get better at it. Some of my stories are going to be shit. Some of them might actually be worth a damn. Huh, let's find out together. Okay, this is Poc Chapter 1. His scalp was being gnawed relentlessly. He poured out some of the toilet brew in his flask and slicked his filthy hair back. Much better. The man stumbled around the glowing craters in the road, aggravating the hungry creatures hiding in them. He was admiring the world as it shimmered in twilight, a lovely filter for the collapsed skyscrapers and parades of broken glass. Alcohol muddled the crippled reality until it appeared as paradise. He passed a street leading to a bonfire. Screaming cultists danced around a mountain of soda vending machines. It looked like a lot of work. He settled for climbing into the garbage truck he made his home and losing consciousness. Sure, it reeked, but he had scraped out the trash and put in the necessities: a rug, recliner, broken television, and a mattress. Home sweet home. The man leaned back in his chair and almost dozed off when he heard a voice above the others. It was screaming a word almost foreign to him, for it had been so long since he had heard it. That's a shame, he thought, but it should be over soon. Help! This time it was even louder and more desperate. The man groaned and turned in his chair, yet it went on. Now the attackers were laughing. That was even more annoying, because it sounded like they were having their first slow dance with puberty. Christ, the man mumbled as he grabbed his bag and exited the truck. The couple causing the scene were part of the local alien gang. Their, their jackets revealed them to be the Flying Sauce Bosses. They painted their gray skin tie-dye and wore jeans with spiral rips. They were kicking a dwarf lying in the gutter. I'm trying to fucking sleep, the man said as he approached the aliens. Either kill him already, or fuck off. Either get the best of luck? The alien asked his partner. The slit in its mushy head quivered as it spoke. Not the intended recipient, another alien replied. They spouted nonsense, like always. No one knew if they could understand each other. All right, I've had enough, the man said. My eyes are so bloodshot I'm about to piss blood out of them. He let his long duffel bag hit the ground and unzipped it. Piss. Output of eyes. Crying? One of the aliens asked. The other alien nodded in response. Before they could say more, they saw the gun. The barrel was 24 inches long, shiny and sleek. Staring into it could make any man get on his knees and call the shooter daddy. The man wielded it with both hands and aimed for the alien on the right. Took a breath, spread his legs, and fired. The sound it unleashed was comparable to a roaring tiger with a million heads, bounding from the gates of hell, dragging a whimpering Cerberus with its twisted, serpentine tail. The alien's head looked like it got fucked by a freight train. Millions of meatballs of brain matter hugged the world with affectionate splats. Splinters of skull flew faster than the thorns off a porcupine that got a TNT dildo shoved up its ass. To top it all off, the alien's neck became a menstrual cycle fountain. After erasing the head from existence, the bullet continued to soar until hitting the remains of a car, shoving it back a few inches. The man holding the gun doubled over and puked. Sorry, he said, wiping his mouth. I haven't had enough to drink yet. He raised the gun again. Young man, who was the only one of those girly? The remaining alien screamed. The man didn't care. Every window nearby exploded, either because of the second boom or flying limbs. A gray, wet finger lodged itself in the man's beard. He looked down and noticed skid marks his boots had made from being pushed back by the recoil. All right, then. He shook his gun to put out the smoke and flames at the end of the barrel, put it in his bag, and walked over to the dwarf, covering his ears. The dwarf had wrinkles on his wrinkles. He looked like a flaccid penis. I shouldn't call him that, the man thought. They'll think I'm calling him a dickhead. The dwarf was wrapped up in a long overcoat, and his eyes were covered by dark bangs. Come on now, partner, the man slurred. They're goner than gone. Quit bawling so I can pass out like a good functioning alcoholic. The dwarf held out his hand, revealing the boo-boo to be a huge splinter. Really? The man sighed and pulled out the splinter, putting it between his teeth to act as a toothpick. He closed his eyes to try and calm his aching head. If you want to survive out here, you're going to have to be a lot tougher than that. I'm talking hard-shell taco left in the fridge for 2 months stuff. When the man opened his eyes, he was facing a very different dwarf, as if his skin had been pulled back. He looked remarkably young, but far from handsome. One nostril was higher than the other, and he was missing an eyebrow. The dwarf brushed his bangs back down to hide this fact, and cleared his throat. Many thanks, Chief. Who do I owe my gratitude to? The dwarf asked. The man could only stare. I see. Well, I judge books by their covers, so going by the smell, clothes, and beard, I'll go with Hick. Shorter than local drunkard with gun the size of God's dick. Yeah, let's go with that, Hick said, rubbing his eyes. Anyway, you're safe now. Bye. Hick headed back to his garbage truck. The dwarf yawned, patting the dust off his coat before letting it drag behind him, as he set off in the opposite direction. Are you listening to music and video games? A high-pitched voice cried out. The dwarf saw 5 aliens turning the corner. Probably looking for their friends, he thought. When they find out, they got ass-wiped from existence. They'll give that poor drunk man even more trouble. He sighed and grabbed the bumper of a burnt-out car, waiting for them to get close enough. Ohio State University? And slicked his own naked bomb? An alien asked, seeing the dwarf. I know you gentlemen had a part in bringing this world to its knees, the dwarf said, but we really hate you for never shutting the fuck up. The metal crunched beneath the dwarf's fingers like paper. Effortlessly, he swung the car and smacked the aliens like flies. Squished against it, they crashed into a building. It crumbled as easily as cardboard, burying them in brick and mortar. The dwarf coughed as dust rose and continued on his way, but he could feel the eyes on him. Sure enough, he felt a hand on his shoulder. The dwarf turned and saw Hick, and his bloodshot eyes bulging, reminding him of a baboon's ass. You can do shit like that, but a splinter makes you piss and moan? What's your name, kid? Hick asked. Pascal, at your service. Are you? Because I could use someone like you when I'm dead to the world. Pascal said. Well, I suppose I owe you. Funny. Being a guard is the exact opposite of what I used to do for a living, Pascal said with a small grin. What was that? Hick asked, seconds from passing out. Another time. I take it you slumber in that portable dump? Yeah, but don't judge me. I cleaned it out myself, and most people avoid the smell. They made it back to the garbage truck, and Hick climbed in. Makes sense, Pascal replied. A man's home just says a lot about him. I'll be resting out here and keeping an eye out. But Hick had already gone. His dreams were a disturbing cocktail of guilt and bad memories. When the sun rose and shot through the sickly clouds, he woke in a sweat, and Pascal was nowhere to be seen. That was chapter 1. I am going to release another chapter, but probably not consecutively. I'll probably upload a few different things before I get to chapter 2. So let me know what you thought. Maybe it was the worst thing you ever read. Maybe you thought it was entertaining. All criticism is good criticism. So just leave a comment below. Thanks for listening.